We're going to be starting the scoping meeting in just a few minutes at 2 o'clock. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome. You are tuning into the remote public scoping meeting for Columbia Heights proposal. Seeker number for this proposal is 26DCP094K. My name is Evren Ülker Kacar. I am the Deputy Director for New York City Department of City Planning's Environmental Assessment and Review Division, or EARD. Tom Smith, Senior Advisor for Neighborhood Studies and Special Projects, will co-host today's meeting. And in the event of any technical challenges on my end, Tom will take over this meeting on my behalf. We truly appreciate you making the time to join us today and appreciate your patience if we do run into any technical difficulties. I do want to emphasize that we will hear from everyone who wishes to speak today, and this meeting will remain open until we have heard from all speakers. We also welcome written comments and testimony through 5 p.m. on Monday, March 23rd, 2026. and provide written comments the same attention and consideration as those comments we will hear today and live at this meeting. We will now proceed to the public scoping meeting for the Columbia Heights rezoning proposal. For the record, let me note again that City Environmental Quality Review, or seeker number, for this project is 26DCP094K. And today is March 12, 2026, and the time is approximately 2:02 p.m. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. Again, my name is Evren Ülker-Kacar. I am the Deputy Director of Environmental Assessment and Review Division at the Department of New York, Department of City Planning. I'll be chairing today's scoping meeting. The Department of City Planning is acting on behalf of the City Planning Commission as the lead agency for this proposal's environmental review. As the lead agency, Department is overseeing the preparation and completion of the Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS, for Columbia Heights rezoning proposal. Next slide, please. Joining me today are several of my colleagues from the Department of City Planning. Alex Sommer is the Director of Department's Brooklyn office, and Karen Zawood is the Deputy Director of the Brooklyn office at the Department of City Planning. We also have Tom Smith, as I mentioned, Senior Advisor for Neighborhood Studies and Special Projects. And Stacey Barron is the Project Manager for this proposal at EARD. We are also joined by Amrisha Mahesh, who is the Project Manager for the Land Use Proposal, and Joy Kim, who would be the counsel for this project at the Council's office. Next slide, please. Together, we are here to receive your comments on the draft scope of work for this draft environmental impact statement for Columbia Heights rezoning proposal. The draft scope of work identifies all subjects that will be analyzed in the upcoming DEIS and explains how those subjects will be studied. And the draft scope of work is available at the Department of City Planning's website. Next slide, please. The purpose of today's meeting is to allow for public participation in the preparation of this DEIS at the earliest stage possible. Toward that end, the department will have an opportunity today to receive comments on the draft scope of work from elected officials, government agencies, community board representatives, and the members of the public. We also welcome written comments on the draft scope of work. And those comments, as I mentioned, will be submitted through March 23rd, 2026 by 5 p.m. Next slide, please. At the end of the written comment period, the department, as the lead agency, will review all comments that we receive. Those we hear today, and those are submitted as written comments as well. So after carefully reviewing those comments, the department will decide what changes, if any, will need to be made to the draft scope of work and issue the final scope of work. It will be the final scope of work that will serve as the basis for the preparation of the DEIS. Today marks the beginning of the environmental review process for this proposal. No decisions will be made today regarding the draft scope of work. The purpose of this meeting is to allow for public to provide their comments about the draft scope of work and allow the department to listen to those comments. It is important that all voices to be heard today. Next slide, please. All right. I will now focus on the structure of today's meeting, which will be divided into 3 parts. During the first part, the applicant team will give a brief overview of their proposal, describing the details of the project. A representative of the applicant team will then provide a short summary of the draft scope of work. During the second part of the meeting, we'll receive comments on the draft scope from the elected officials, government agencies, and the community board representatives. And during the third and the final part of the meeting, we'll receive comments from the general public. The meeting will end when we heard from everyone who has signed up that wishes to provide testimony to be heard today. Next slide, please. All right, on to the few logistics about today's scoping meeting. The protocol is intended to ensure that everyone has a chance to speak so that we can hear all voices who wants to provide their testimony. If you wish to speak and plan to access the meeting online using a computer, tablet, or a smartphone, please remember to register online through the Columbia Heights Rezoning Scoping Meeting at Department of City Planning's website. A link to join us and provide your testimony will be emailed to you after you have completed the registration through the DCP calendar page, and we will add you to our speaker list. When it's your turn to speak, your name will be called and you will be granted a temporary speaking privileges by the Department of City Planning staff, and you will be promoted to be a panelist. This will allow you to unmute your microphone and give you the ability to turn on your camera if you wish to do so. Please note that this process takes a minute or two. We ask everyone to be patient. And once your name is called, we will help you to unmute your microphone. You will be asked to convey your remarks, and you will be asked to convey your remarks. To allow us to hear from everyone, we ask you to please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. A 3-minute countdown clock will run on the screen if you're participating online. At the 3-minute mark, your time will expire and you will be asked to conclude your remarks. Next slide, please. An additional note of instructions for those of you who are joining us by phone today. If you wish to provide your testimony by phone, please select *9 when you're prompted. Please listen for me to call out the last 3 digits of your phone number. At that time, you will be given a temporary ability to share your testimony. You must press *6 to unmute your telephone, and we will be able to hear you speak. When your testimony is complete or your 3 minutes have expired, whichever comes first, you must press again *6 to unmute yourself. And we would like to encourage every dial-in participant who wish to provide their testimony to register via phone using a dial-in participant hotline. Again, this process takes a minute. Please be patient. Next slide, please. Next, the time limits. So speakers from general public will have 3 minutes to give their testimony. Of course, there are a few exceptions to this 3-minute time limit. Elected officials, for example, are given the courtesy of jumping to the front of the line, and they will not have time limits. Those of you who are viewing us on live stream and wish to testify, please be mindful of the background noise during your testimony. Make sure that your live stream is muted when you start your testimony to avoid hearing an echo. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, written comments are going to be accepted by the department through Monday, March 23rd, 2026 at 5 p.m. These comments can also be mailed to the project email address at 26dcp094_DL at planning.nyc.gov. These comments can also be mailed to the department at Environmental Assessment and Review Division, attention to myself, at 120 Broadway, 31st floor, New York, New York, 10271. Next slide, please. All right, so we're now going on to the next part of our meeting where the applicant team is going to present their proposal. With that, I'm passing it over to David Wellspring to start their presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is David Wellspring, and I'm here as the applicant of this proposed rezoning on behalf of 25-30 Columbia Heights, Brooklyn, LLC. I lead CIM Group's East Region Real Estate Development Team based here in New York City. CIM Group is a real estate and infrastructure owner, operator, lender, and developer founded in 1994. We have owned and developed properties in New York City, including Brooklyn, for the last 15 years and have been an owner of this property since 2016. I've been a Brooklyn resident for more than 10 years, all of them in Community District 2, and I personally care how the neighborhoods in this district grow and evolve. Next slide, please. Today, you'll be presented with detailed information from our technical team, including architect Morris Ajmi Architects, environmental consultant AKRF, and land use and environmental counsel HSF Kramer. I'll briefly take a moment now to explain why this rezoning is necessary and why it represents a responsible path forward for this site and the surrounding community. Next slide, please. The rezoning proposal involves 2 large, long vacant former industrial buildings along with 3 smaller structures, one of which has been leased. The buildings are outdated, underutilized, and currently not suitable for occupancy without major upgrades to meet modern safety, accessibility, and energy standards. They have effectively been left behind by changes in the city's economy and could be used in more impactful ways. Under the current zoning, the most realistic as-of-right use would be commercial, largely office space. However, the Brooklyn office market has changed dramatically since the COVID-19 pandemic. Demand has declined so significantly that even newly built office buildings are now converting to residential use where allowed by applicable regulations. By allowing residential use with the proposed rezoning, we can finally unlock the investment needed to bring these buildings back to life. In doing so, we would also help address one of the city's most pressing needs, new housing, including permanently affordable housing for New Yorkers who are increasingly being priced out of their own communities. The surrounding neighborhoods have evolved considerably over time. Nearby areas have been rezoned or designated a historic district to preserve their character, which has limited opportunities for new housing. In fact, there's been a reduction in housing units in the immediate area due to smaller multifamily buildings being converted to single-family residences. That has placed increasing pressure on sites like this one, older industrial properties that no longer serve their original purpose, but are well located near transit and neighborhood amenities. Next slide, please. The proposed rezoning would allow a thoughtful mixed-use development, including new housing, affordable units, and local commercial or community facility space uses. It would bring in new residents and workers to the area, activate the street, improve safety, and strengthen the local economy and tax base. Importantly, environmental analysis shows that despite allowing residential use and added density, the project would result in hundreds of fewer people at the property than if the buildings were fully occupied under current zoning. This rezoning is needed to transform a long underutilized site into something that serves today's community needs while delivering meaningful public benefits. We have already been actively engaging with the local community members, stakeholders, and elected officials to listen to concerns, anticipate questions, and shape a proposal that responds thoughtfully to this neighborhood. We look forward to continuing that dialogue as this process moves ahead. I'll now pass this presentation to Jim Power, partner at HSF Kramer. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and good afternoon. I'm Jim Power. I'm a partner in the land use group at Herbert Smith Freehills Kramer, formerly Kramer Levitt. We are serving as land use counsel to the applicant 25-30 Columbia Heights, Brooklyn, LLC. The applicant is seeking a zoning map amendment and a zoning text amendment to facilitate a mixed-use development, including the residential conversion and enlargement of 2 existing underutilized commercial buildings. Next slide, please. The project area consists of projected development site 1, also known as 25 Columbia Heights, and projected development site 2, 30-58 Columbia Heights. Projected development site 1 is improved with an existing 12-story, 131-foot 295,000 gross square foot commercial building with 125 parking spaces. Projected development site 2 is improved with 4 existing abutting commercial buildings totaling 399,000 gross square feet, the largest of which is a 13-story, 141-foot building occupying the northern portion of the site. Next slide, please. The project area is located between the Brooklyn Heights and Dumbo neighborhoods of Community District 2. The area surrounding the project area contains a diverse mix of land uses, including historic and contemporary commercial, residential, and recreational uses. Next slide. The project area is within an M21 zoning district. M21 districts allow manufacturing and commercial uses at a maximum floor area ratio, or FAR, of 2.0, and do not allow residential use or community facility uses other than specified museums. Next slide. Under the proposed actions, projected development site 1 would be rezoned from the existing M21 district to a paired M15A/R10A zoning district, and projected development site 2 would be rezoned from the existing M21 district to a paired M15A/R8A zoning district. The entire project area would be mapped within an MX mixed-use district. The zoning text amendment would establish a new MX district for the area and establish the area as a mandatory inclusionary housing, or MIH, area. Next slide. The proposed M15A/R10A MX district for projected development site 1 would allow maximum FARs of 12 for residential use and 6.5 for commercial use, with a maximum base height of 155 feet and a maximum building height of 293 feet, which includes a height increase from the standard maximum building height of 235 feet, since the zoning lot has a lot area of more than 20,000 square feet. The proposed M15A/R8A MX district for projected development site 2 would allow maximum FARs of 7.2 for residential use and 6.5 for commercial use, with a maximum base height of 155 feet and a maximum building height of 256 feet, which is increased from the standard maximum building height of 205 feet, since the zoning lot has a lot area of more than 20,000 square feet. Overall, the proposed actions are needed to facilitate the proposed development, which would advance the city's planning policies by introducing a substantial amount of new housing, including affordable housing, and neighborhood-enhancing commercial uses to the project area. The proposed development would bring new residents and workers to the project area, which would create a more active, safe, and inviting streetscape while also increasing the city's tax base. Next slide, please. The applicant's proposed development includes a total of approximately 925,000 gross square feet, including approximately 661 dwelling units, of which approximately 166 would be permanently affordable units in accordance with the applicant's preferred option 1 of the MIH program, along with 186,000 gross square feet of commercial and/or community facility use and 188 parking spaces. The applicant's proposed development would not utilize all floor area permitted under the proposed rezoning on proposed development site 2, 30 Columbia Heights. Therefore, to present a conservative analysis for purposes of the environmental review, a reasonable worst-case development scenario was developed, assuming full utilization of allowable FAR under the proposed zoning districts. Next slide, please. The building bulk assumed for the reasonable worst-case development scenario reflects full FAR utilization with efficient and practicable floor plates that could reasonably be built. In contrast to the reasonable worst-case development scenario, in contrast to the proposed development, the reasonable worst-case development scenario includes approximately 1,005,000 gross square feet of total development, including approximately 716 total dwelling units, of which approximately 179 would be permanently affordable units in accordance with the applicant's preferred option 1 of the MIH program, along with approximately 186,000 gross square feet of local retail and office space and 188 parking spaces. And with that, I will turn it over to Nick Chelko of MA Architects.
Thanks, Jim. Next slide, please. Hi, I'm Nick Chelko. I lead the planning studio at Morris Adjmi Architects here in New York, and we are serving as architect to the applicant. As an adaptive reuse conversion from office to mixed-use residential, the project will be distinguished by a contextual architectural approach that features the original building fabric complemented by a vertical addition at projected development site 1 and a horizontal addition at projected development site 2. Next slide, please. This aerial view illustrates the volumetric breakdown of the massing, variations in facade materials and street wall setbacks that provide articulation and hierarchy at the urban scale. This strategy maintains key relationships between the neighboring buildings and the project while introducing new density to the blocks. At the human scale, new operable windows will bring a residential touch and a cohesive identity to the project across both sites. In the next slide, we'll look at the site plan to describe the interaction between the buildings and the public realm. Next slide, please. Ground floor activation through commercial and community facility spaces will remain focused at the corner of Furman and Doughty Streets, with additional storefronts extending to the corner at Columbia Heights. New commercial spaces will be included along Columbia Heights, fronting the dog park and playground nearby. Vehicular access will utilize existing curb cuts. Loading bays along Furman Street will be reduced from 7 to 3, and existing access points at McKinney Street will be retained. All loading operations will occur within enclosed bays, and residential waste pickup will be managed either within enclosed areas or via on-street containers as permitted. Primary residential entries will be located along Columbia Heights and Vine Street, establishing these streets as the principal face of the new residential life that this project will deliver. With that, I'll hand off to Lisa Lau from AKRF.
Next slide, please. Thanks, Nick. Hi, I'm Lisa Lau, a Senior Vice President with AKRF. We're the environmental consultants preparing the Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS, for the proposed actions. The incremental difference between the future no action and future with action conditions serves as the basis for identifying potential environmental impacts. In the no action condition, projected development sites 1 and 2 would be re-tenanted with complying commercial uses permitted under existing zoning, and no discretionary actions would be required. The proposed project would result in the partial conversion and enlargement of projected development sites 1 and 2. As Jim noted earlier, because the applicant's proposed development in the with action condition would not utilize all floor area permitted under the proposed rezoning on projected development site 2, a reasonable worst case reflecting the achievement of the full FAR permitted will be considered in order to present a conservative analysis for the purposes of environmental review. This table presents a summary of the reasonable worst case to be analyzed. As compared to the no action condition, the reasonable worst case would result in an overall development increment of approximately 716 residential units, including 179 affordable units with the applicant's preferred option 1 of the MIH program, and approximately 63 parking spaces. The draft EIS, or DEIS, will use the 2025 City Environmental Quality Review, or SEQR, technical manual as a general guide on the methodologies and impact criteria for evaluating potential effects on the various technical areas of analysis for projects in New York City. Analyses of the existing no action and with action conditions will be prepared. Next slide, please. DCP, acting on behalf of the City Planning Commission as SEQR lead agency, issued a positive declaration for the project on February 10th, 2026, and a full environmental assessment statement, or EAS, and a draft EIS scope of work have been prepared. Analyses of socioeconomic conditions, community facilities and services, open space, shadows, historic and cultural resources, urban design and visual resources, natural resources, water and sewer infrastructure, solid waste and sanitation, and energy were performed in accordance with the 2025 SEQR technical manual and are provided as part of the EAS. Based on these analyses, no significant adverse impacts to these areas would occur with the proposed actions, and therefore no additional analysis with respect to these areas is required. Next slide, please. As described in the draft scope of work, the DEIS will provide a description of the existing conditions and assessments of future conditions without and with the proposed actions in a 2029 build year, and will examine the proposed actions' potential effects to the environmental areas of concern shown on this slide, including land use, zoning, and public policy, hazardous materials, transportation, air quality, greenhouse gas emissions and climate change, noise, public health, neighborhood character, construction, and effects on disadvantaged communities. The DEIS will also discuss potential alternatives to the proposed actions that would reduce or avoid the potential for significant adverse impacts from the proposed actions. Where the potential for significant adverse impacts is identified, the DEIS will identify potential mitigation measures and disclose any significant adverse impacts that may be unavoidable. Lastly, assessments of growth-inducing aspects of the proposed actions and irreversible and irretrievable commitment of resources will be provided in the acts. Thank you for your time today. With that, I'll turn the presentation back to Evan.
Thank you, Lisa, and the applicant team for your presentation. Next slide, please. Great. So we will now move on to the part 2 of the scoping meeting, where we will hear from community boards, elected officials, and government agencies. So when it's your turn to speak, your name will be called and you will be promoted to be a panelist. And this will allow you to unmute your microphone and give you the ability to turn your camera on if you wish to do so. There will be a short period of time where it will appear that you're no longer in the meeting, but don't be alarmed, you will rejoin the meeting as a panelist shortly. So if any of the speakers are experiencing any technical issues, we will pause and troubleshoot in the background and move on to the next speaker, and we will recall your name at a later time once we troubleshoot the issue. So if you're also listening in, you should hang up and call and need assistance. If you're listening in and need assistance to register or have to participate in this meeting live, you can call the number in the bottom of the screen, 877-853-5247, and then enter the meeting ID 618-237-7396, and the password is 1. And someone will be helping you to register or troubleshoot the issue. So in this first group of speakers, we do not have anyone from the government agencies or elected officials or community boards that are registered at this time to provide any testimony. Is anybody in the Zoom room that have dialed in that is from a government agency or an elected official or a community board? Please, you can raise your hand and identify yourself if you wish to provide a testimony.
You can use *6 to raise your hand if you're on the phone.
Thanks, Tom.
Looks like we have one dial in.
Yes. All right. If not, we will now move on to the part 3 of the scoping meeting, where we are going to hear from the general public, who will provide a testimony up to 3 minutes. And I'll ask my team to move on to that slide with the time tracker, please. Great, thank you. So this tracker will start when you start your testimony, and will run through your testimony. So please remember that once your 3 minutes have passed, we will ask you to conclude your remarks. And if you're experiencing any technical issues, we'll pause, move on to the next speaker, and come back to you at a later time. So if this happens to you, you can revisit DCP's calendar page to follow the instruction on how to register to provide testimony in this meeting. And if you have any other technical difficulties, you are calling by phone, please follow the instructions for the dial-in number to get a help. All right, now we're going to start with our registered speakers in this group. Our first speaker is Brian Long, followed by Sean Haley, followed by Mary Alward. Please feel free to correct me if I'm mispresenting your name. And at this time, we are actually seeing two Brians in the Zoom room. If you can identify or raise your hand, please to let us know which Brian we will promote you to be the panelist. Thank you. All right, our team can promote Brian to be a panelist, and then you should be able to unmute and turn your camera if you choose to do so.
Hi, thanks so much. Can you hear us?
Yes. Yes.
Thanks so much. So we are residents of Brooklyn Heights. We have lived here for almost 16 years. We have 3 children, one who's graduated from PS8, one who's currently there, and one who will be entering next year. It's a wonderful school, and we're so proud to have our children at PS8. However, it is a popular school, and there's overcrowding. Even this year, as perhaps you know, the music teacher, we collapsed the classroom to make room for new kindergartens, and we are running out of space. And I've heard that in a newsletter, Councilman Ressler, that we are looking for new space for PS8, which is a wonderful thing and will add to the neighborhood. Since this proposed building site will add 650 or more units, it's going to add to the overcrowding problem. And I'm curious if there are thoughts to perhaps securing some of the space at this building site and addressing the overcrowding needs of PS8 and perhaps helping and building an annex for the school there, which I know would be popular probably with people and also address a need, a problem that this development will be adding to. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here and providing your testimony.
Thank you.
Right, our next speaker is Sean Haley. Sean, we will promote you to be a panelist shortly. Can my production team? Okay, I think
Dawn, you should be able to turn on your microphone and camera if you wish.
Okay, I see you on the panelist room now. Sean, can you hear us? Yes.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Hi. Yes, my question is we also have lived in the neighborhood for a very long time. The added floors that are being added, specifically the building on Vine Street, the original HQ entrance for the Jehovah's Witness, it is unclear. It looks like per written word, it's 5 floors, but per the displayed materials, it seems like it could be more than that. How is the height increase, 1, in line with the neighborhood character? And 2, is the height increase necessary at all, considering that just converting to residential might solve the financial issue of the development site as is?
Thank you so much for your remarks. As you know, we are getting testimony from everyone today, not responding to the questions, and these will be responded in the final scope of work at a later time when that's published. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Our next speaker is Mary Alward, followed by Amanda Pelham. Mary, we will promote you to be a panelist shortly. Is Mary in the Zoom room?
I don't believe we have Mary in the Zoom.
Okay. So we will skip Mary for now, and if she joins us at a later time, we will call your name again. Our next speaker is Amanda Pelham, followed by Katrin Adam. Amanda, can you hear us? I see you in the panelist room.
One moment. Amanda, you should be able to turn on your microphone and camera if you wish.
Hello?
Hello,
We can
welcome.
hear
Hi.
you.
Hi. Well, thanks for the presentation. I'm a local in Brooklyn Heights, and I've been here for, I don't know, 26 years, something like that. And as a visual artist, I'm really concerned about the blockage of the views of the Brooklyn Bridge. I feel like it's an iconic masterpiece. I think in this whole area for miles and miles, there are just a few things about New York that are just exceptional masterpieces, and that's one of them. So I think that it resonates just a certain quality of life to be able to see it and enjoy it and be inspired by it. And I know that once that's built, I won't be able to see that from my apartment, as will many, many others. They won't be able to see the bridge anymore. So I think that will really diminish the experience of living near the bridge. So I don't know. It's a beloved center. So I would hate to see that ruined by anyone. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments and being here with us today. Our next speaker is Katrin Adam, followed by Bill Stein. Katrin, we will promote you to be a panelist. And you'll be able to mute yourself and provide your testimony. Again, we appreciate everyone's patience. This process takes a minute or two on our end.
Katrin, you may be getting a notification asking if you want to be promoted to panelist. Okay. Katrin, I'm just going to give you the ability to turn on your microphone now and see if that works. Katrin, you should be able to turn on your microphone.
Because I think maybe Katrin is stepped away from the Zoom room, so we can come back to you. Our next speaker is Bill Stein, followed by Adam Trisson. Please feel free to correct your name for the record if I am mispronouncing your name. Bill Stein is our next speaker. Will be promoted to be a panelist. I think I see you in the Zoom. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Bill Stein, and I am on the board of the Fulton Ferry Landing Association. And I just want to focus today on 3 subjects that received negative declarations in the EAS. And those are the effect on local public schools, the water and sewer infrastructure, and the shadow analysis. I'll start with the shadow analysis. We take issue with the fact that the reasonable worst case scenario was introduced for Site 2 for 30 Columbia Heights, but not 225. The shadow analysis that was done with a maximum height of 210 feet, which is what the developer has proposed. However, the rezoning would give them the ability to go to 235 feet or even more with the 25% bonus. So we believe that the shadow analysis was inadequate because the developer could attain the rezoning and easily change the massing of the building while staying within the 12.0 FAR, but going up higher. And for that reason, we believe that a more robust shadow analysis should be done. The water and sewer infrastructure, the EAS states that the water demand should be adequate, even by introducing over 600 new units. However, that does not take into account the condition of the pipes themselves. We know that in Dumbo, after all of the new condo buildings were built and residential conversions of older buildings, we have just endured over 5 years of reconstruction of 26 blocks of Dumbo for the water and sewer infrastructure. And for that reason, we believe that the EIS, that the draft scope of work should include more robust examination of the water and sewer pipes. And finally, about the public school 8, once again, the estimate, the projection that was done that shows that it would only be an increase of 44 students with this project. We take issue with that because we don't think that that's accurate, taking into account that 25% of the housing units are going to be affordable housing, and the percentage of those students in those apartments may not be opting for private schools, the local private schools within Brooklyn Heights. So we want a second look being taken.
Thank you. Actually, we could have let him finish his sentence. Okay. As a reminder, we accept written comments by the 23rd by 5 p.m. If there were more for your remarks, please submit a written comment. Thank you so much. I think we had covered most of the school and all 3 points. Our next speaker is Adam Thrisen, followed by Michelle Abramovitz. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Adam Drizin. I'm a resident at 28 Old Fulton Street, and I am also a licensed architect. I essentially have 2 questions and concerns that I want to address. The first has to do with the EIS that makes a determination that the worst case scenario does not impact sensitive areas through shadows being cast. Um, it's clear on figure F14, F16, F29, and F52 that in fact site 1 casts a shadow almost the entirety of the afternoon on the Brooklyn Bridge horizontal surface. The Brooklyn Bridge is both designated as a New York City open space and a historic landmark of significant importance. That the shadow study that was submitted as part of the EIS fails to recognize those shadows in red, meaning that they are new shadows being cast on sensitive areas, is significant. So I am officially requesting that the city do an in-depth shadow study to determine whether those shadows are in fact significant impacts on a significant monument. The second issue has to do with site number 2. It's unclear whether the worst case scenario includes the transferable development rights from the 3 smaller buildings to increase the FAR of the larger building on the site. In other words, would there be additional buildable area on top of the 19 floors that are already showing as the worst case scenario? So I guess that's a question which remains unanswered. My final comment simply has to do with the question of upzoning to an R10A. I understand that the developers have asked for that. Um, I am completely in support of new residential units being built, but it's inconceivable that they be built at the density and scale and FAR of an R10, which is the highest level, as we all know. That the buildings are surrounded by R6s. You have to go all the way to downtown Brooklyn and the new Brooklyn Tower to find an R10 with an FAR of 12. There's just simply nothing like it in this area, and I would argue it's a completely inappropriate upzoning.
Thank you so much. Right on time.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here and joining us. All right, our next speaker is Michelle Abramowitz, followed by Jeremy Lechson. Michelle, we will promote you to be a panelist if you are in the Zoom room. Yes, I see you on the panelist. Welcome. You should be able to unmute.
Oh, great. Not sure if anyone can see me, but can you hear me now?
Yes,
Great.
we can see you.
Just wanted to say thank you for presenting this information. So I'm Michelle. I've lived in the community board for my entire life, almost 27 years in the Brooklyn Heights Historic District, and I care deeply about preserving the character and history of our neighborhood, while I also understand the need for increased housing in the area. Unfortunately, with this proposal, I definitely have some concerns, although I do think it is a good idea to convert to residential units. Like others have mentioned, I think the proposal to significantly increase the height of both buildings when they're already so large and arguably stand out in the area already because of their height and scale, much larger than many of the surrounding buildings, especially the brownstones in the Brooklyn Heights Historic District right next to them. Why can't we use the buildings as they already are at the height that they already are? I would really appreciate a clear explanation as to why the building exteriors and the current height cannot remain the same, given the large space that's already available. And I think that would be much more appropriate. I think we also need to recognize that the developer is asking for rezoning that will allow them to build these buildings and on these sites to be much higher than what they're claiming in the proposal to be their goal height for this project. So we really need to take that into consideration, that they might be built much higher than even the proposals when we're evaluating this project, especially given the nature of the developer making real estate investments and ultimately looking for profit-making opportunities in this area. I think it's inappropriate. This proposed design for the neighboring area doesn't fit with the neighborhood character. And from the photos and height projections from the report, I'm also concerned, like other residents, that famous views that are iconic to our neighborhood, the character of our neighborhood, and bring in tourists and so many visitors would be blocked by these proposed height increases and additions. I'm particularly concerned from looking in the photos in the report and the proposed additions that they would block the view of Manhattan from the Brooklyn Bridge, which is iconic to our neighborhood, and that would be very sad to lose that. Overall, I really think this proposed design does not fit in with the context of our neighborhood. The height increase, I don't think should be necessary, and it's not in line with the character of our neighborhood. There's already a lot of new developments proposed in the Columbia Heights waterfront district, so that should be enough.
Thank you. Right on time. Thank you. Thank you for your testimony, Michelle, and for being with us today. Our next speaker is Jeremy Lechson, followed by Jason Long. Jeremy, we will promote you to be a panelist. shortly.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Lexon. I'm the president of the Brooklyn Heights Association, and I'm also the chair of our Landmarks Committee at the BHA. I want to thank the CIM team and their consultants for presenting and for having worked with the community over the past months as they came to this moment. We'd like to request that two things be added to the final scope of work for the EIS coming out of the negative declarations from the EAS. The first would be for the community facilities relating to public schools, and the second would be the shadow study. We echo the other comments that have been made about the elementary school situation that is zoned for this project area. We know that that school PS8 is already over capacity, and so we feel that the formulaic application in the AS relying on the school construction authority's projections was not an adequate determination of whether or not community facilities should be in the scope of work. When it comes to the shadows, we echo the other comments that have been made today in the testimony regarding whether or not the assumptions that went into the reasonable worst case development scenario were in fact reasonable or not. We think there are enough questions around those assumptions that it should be in the final scope of work on that reason alone. And then separately, the impact, we agree with the prior testimony regarding the potential shadow impact on the Brooklyn Bridge, which we would agree could be an automatic reason to shift the shadow study into the scope of work, notwithstanding the negative declaration coming out of the EAS. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy, for your testimony. Our next speaker is Jason Long, followed by Juliet Lapidos. Jason, you'll be our next speaker. We'll promote you to be a panelist shortly. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm a local resident within Fulton Ferry, adjacent to 30 Columbia Heights. Thank you for the chance to speak here. I just wanted to echo some comments that have already been made about scope that I feel should be within the scope of work, given the scale of the proposed development. So first, the shadow impact, I believe, given also the relationship to important open spaces in the Brooklyn Bridge, should be within the upcoming EIS. Also, the impact on community facilities, in particular schools, as has already been discussed. And in addition, I think given the site's situation between two historic districts, so Brooklyn Heights, but also Fulton Ferry, that the historic and visual context and the impact on that should also be studied further. In addition, traffic, I think, is going to be studied further, but I think the complexities that exist around the site related to the entry to the BQE and also, of course, the entry to the Brooklyn Bridge Park should really be studied very carefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being with us today and for your testimony. Next speaker is Juliet Lapidos, followed by Janice Heineman. Juliet, we'll promote you to be a panelist. You should be able to unmute.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I also live in Fulton Ferry and I grew up in New York. And I actually just wanted to testify in favor of the project. The city needs more housing. This seems like a perfectly reasonable way to add units. I would just argue in favor of units that could fit families, which the neighborhood is lacking, especially in newer buildings, which tend to be 1 or 2 bedrooms. So it would be great if it were possible to have family-sized units in there. And then as far as effect on the neighborhood, personally, I'm not concerned about shadows or anything else. It does seem to me that the subway platform at York Street is quite dangerous when it gets crowded. And I know at times it has been studied whether we could add another entrance. And if that could factor into some element of this discussion of raising the funds necessary to build another entrance, I think that would be really beneficial to the neighborhood and all the new neighbors that we'll eventually have here. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments and for being with us here today. Our next speaker is Janice Heineman, followed by Samantha Uphoff. We do not see Janice in the Zoom room. Let me confirm that. Yes, we do not have Janice Heineman in the Zoom room. We will skip and move on to Samantha Uphoff, followed by Andrea Bealey. Samantha, you're our next speaker. You should be able to now mute yourself.
Hi,
Unmute
good afternoon.
yourself. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity to put my comments on the record. My name is Samantha Uphoff, and I've been a longtime resident of Brooklyn Heights. I'm here because this rezoning is not a routine land use decision. It is a targeted amendment to a single privately owned parcel crafted specifically to unlock over 900,000 square feet of development that no surrounding zoning permits. This is the definition of spot zoning, and New York courts have consistently held it to be an abuse of the zoning power. The site sits between two designated historic districts and directly adjacent to the Brooklyn Bridge Park. The landmarks law and the city's own waterfront plan exists precisely to prevent this kind of out-of-scale intrusion. A 17-story and potentially taller building on this corridor would permanently alter the skyline of one of the most carefully protected neighborhoods in New York City. The positive declaration confirms this project may cause significant adverse environmental impacts, and that burden must be met rigorously. The EIS must address shadow and visual impacts on the Brooklyn Heights and Fulton Ferry historic districts, cumulative open space stress on a Brooklyn Bridge Park already operating at capacity, and traffic and pedestrian safety on Columbia Heights and Furman Street, corridors with no room to absorb hundreds of additional residential units in addition to the numerous tourists that frequent that area daily. Most urgently, the site sits directly adjacent to the BQE triple cantilever, aging infrastructure facing years of complex reconstruction, and locking in a high-density development before that engineering is resolved constrains future infrastructure options that the city cannot afford to lose. Brooklyn Heights has shown that housing and preservation can coexist, and adding additional residential units to the neighborhood is a worthwhile endeavor, but that requires respecting the framework and not rewriting it for a single developer. I urge the Commission to demand a comprehensive EIS and to reject this rezoning amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Samantha, for your remarks and for being with us today. Our next speaker is Andrea Bealey. Andrea, you will be promoted to be a panelist shortly. And you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes. Hi, my name is Andrea Beal. I'm a Brooklyn Heights resident and co-op owner. I just want to say how excited I am about this project. I run by these buildings almost daily, and it gives me such a deep sadness at how disused they are in a time when housing is such a crisis in this city. So I full-heartedly support this project, especially given the inclusion of affordable housing. And I really look forward to meeting my new neighbors when this project is complete. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for being with us and for your remarks. So this is the end of our list of registered speakers. We will go back and recall a couple that we had skipped. Catherine, Adam, I think Catherine is still in the Zoom room. If you are, let's promote Catherine to be a panelist. If you wish to provide a testimony, please do so. Or you can raise your hand. I think Tom.
Catherine, you should be able to turn on your microphone.
All right, so I think let me recall a couple others that we had skipped. I think Mary Alward, we had skipped you, but we're not seeing you in the Zoom room. And then Janice Heineman, we don't actually see you in the Zoom room as well. If you are on YouTube, this is the time to join the Zoom by the link you have received from the department when you register to speak. Please join us if you are listening us on YouTube. Is there anybody who wants to provide a testimony that is in the Zoom room now that wants to register using our hotline or by visiting the calendar page on our website? This is a good time to do that before we take a break. And then I also do not see anybody who has called in by telephone that wants to provide a testimony at this time. Okay, I think Janice Heineman just joined us on Zoom.
Yep.
Great. We will promote you to be a panelist, Janice, shortly, and you should be able to provide your testimony.
One moment. Janice, you might be getting a message on your screen asking you to accept promotion to panelist. If you click it, we'll be able to turn on your microphone and camera. Okay, I'm going to give you the ability to turn on your microphone now.
Janice, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to express my views. Early in the presentation, 2 of the slides of the property show the beautiful Brooklyn Bridge, which I'm sure is of great value as a view for the tenants of the new proposed project. And yet your higher buildings will impact a great many tenants to the south and east. And our views of the bridge and the cityscape which we treasure will be completely obscured, and our property values will be greatly reduced. Mr. Wellspring indicated that he values the neighborhood. Yet if he were truly concerned about that, he would not be proposing a building that's higher than the present structures. Neighborhood character, which was an item of consideration of impact in one of the slides, will be greatly impacted by a higher building. As much as low-income housing is a valid concern in the city, it should not be provided at the expense of a neighborhood and existing property values, or as a device to get an area rezoned just so a large project can be approved. It has also been noticed by many I discussed this meeting with today that it's at a time when many people who might otherwise be interested in participating cannot, due to it being in the middle of the business day. I know they can submit their concerns by other means, but it feels like being able to witness the presentation of the project and having the ability to respond here in person has a greater benefit for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janice, for your testimony, for joining us today, making the time to join us today. So we don't have any other registered speakers at this time, and nobody on the phone that joined us on the Zoom room by phone. And let me confirm with our DRP hotline if there's anybody who is getting help or registering. Is there anyone who wishes to speak that is in the Zoom room at this time? And if you do, and if you are also watching us on YouTube, and if you want to provide a testimony and you didn't get a chance to register, please visit our calendar page and follow the instructions to register to join us online on the Zoom room. We will now take a 5-minute break. This is a good time for those who want to register and provide their testimony during this meeting today. This is a good time to do so. Can we have our instruction slides up, please, with the other timer?
Going.
One more.
Keep going. Nope, one more slide.
This one.
There
Thank
you
you.
go.
Great. All right. So here, the instructions are on the screen, and you can visit our calendar page again. If you wish to provide testimony, please do so. We are now taking a 5-minute break. We'll see you. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome back. You are tuned into the remote public scoping meeting for Columbia Heights rezoning proposal. For the record, this proposal seeker number is 26DCP094K. My name is Evren Karkajar. I am the Deputy Director of Environmental Assessment and Review Division here at Department of City Planning. We are currently in part 3 of this public scoping meeting, where we are hearing testimony from the public, general public, up to 3 minutes. A 3-minute time tracker is on the screen when public is providing their testimony. So we were taking a break to see if anybody else wanted to speak on this matter. But we do not have anyone registered to speak during this break. I see that we have one new dial-in in our Zoom room. If you did not register to speak, if you did not register to speak by dialing into our hotline or use the calendar page and follow the instructions to speak, please indicate by hitting *9 that you wish to speak at this time. I see a hand up. Can my team promote this telephone number to be a panelist list? Or let them unmute them?
Yep.
Let them help unmute them. You need to
press *6 to unmute. Oh, I think we have you.
Hello?
Hello,
Yep.
yes.
Hi, guys. Hello. My name is Griffin. I'm actually a resident of Dumbo. And I just wanted to also support my expressed interest in this project. I think this is an amazing project for the area. I think that it really would benefit the local area and having some revitalized retail on ground floor and having a new influx of residences to create a more vibrant community here. So I am fully in support of it. I know one of the previous speakers, or one of the previous people commented on that the building is large enough to accommodate for residential use. But if this project did not receive the zoning change, then obviously the developer would not move forward with it, and then we would be left with a vacant, slowly deteriorating building. So I am fully in favor of this project. I think this is a wonderful idea, and I really hope to see it come to light. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you please repeat your name for the record so that we have it?
Yeah, sorry. My name is Griffin Gerhardt.
Okay, Griffin, can you spell your last name? Apologies.
Yeah, sorry. Gerharz.
Thank you so much. Thanks for making the time to join us today and providing your testimony. All right. Do we have any others who wishes to provide testimony today who are in the Zoom room who didn't get a chance to register?
Doesn't look like it.
All right. So if no one wishes to, and there are no, okay, we actually have one person just signed up. Let's hear their testimony. Please correct me if I am mispronouncing your name. Gianfranco Quadra. You just, I think they just registered, but we don't see them in the Zoom room, correct? All right. If you are watching us on YouTube, please join us. I think let's wait another minute. It might take time to join the Zoom room. If I can have the instruction slide up again, so let's repeat how we could provide, how we can accept testimony, maybe the other slide with the email address. So anybody who didn't get a chance to speak today, still wants to provide their testimony, you can submit a written testimony to the Department of City Planning, to Environmental Assessment and Review Division, to my attention, Evren Karkajar. Our mailing address is 120 Broadway, 31st floor, New York, New York, 10271. To provide your testimony, you could also email us at this project's email address at 26dcp094k_planning.nyc.gov. This information can also be found on the department's website at the calendar page. When you go to our website, it's on the right-hand side corner on top. The calendar page, you can find this project's entry and follow the instructions on how to submit your testimony. And we will accept written comments until March 23rd, 2026 by 5 p.m. Let me see if we are joined by our latest registrant in the Zoom room. We do not, and nobody else has joined or registered. All right. Again, if anyone who had difficulties to provide your testimony, follow the instructions that I just provided. Go to our calendar page, follow the instructions how to submit your testimony, or you can email or mail us. Again, the deadline to submit comments is Monday, March 23rd, 2026. And we will now close this public scoping meeting. The time is approximately 3:19, and this public scoping meeting is now closed. Thank you.